Hi there, Simon from simonwoods.com here. Mishmash of red wines today. First one I've got Lagrein. Now Lagrein is it's a grape variety, and it comes from the weird bit of northern Italy where you're not quite sure whether you're in Italy or you're in Austria or Germany. The road signs are in German and Italian. The food is most definitely Germanic. And but the wines have a alpine freshness, not surprising, as you look out of your window and you can see bits of the Alps often. Very pretty part of the world. Most of the wine that they make there is white, but they do make some red varieties, including this one, Lagrein. And it's one of those grape varieties that's had a reputation for being a bit rustic, and largely because if you're in a white wine making country, a white wine territory, people aren't as adept at making red wines as they are at whites. But with a bit of TLC, it's amazing what you can achieve. This one comes from a co-op called in the town of Tramin, which they reckon is where the grape Traminer or Gewürztraminer came from. And there's some very, very good co-ops in the region. So I think this one was one of the top winery of the year or something like that in Gambaro Rosso a few years ago. If you don't know Gambaro Rosso, it's the Italian wine guide. Okay, let's give it a go. 2008 Lagrein. Well, it's got what I call crunchy fruit. There's a slightly earthy black cherry forest floor feel to it. It smells like it's going to be not hearty, but it smells like it's going to be a mixture of refreshing but slightly, well, I can understand where the rustic thing comes from. It's not an aristocrat, but it's a jolly peasant all the same. Yes, it's got this juicy, slightly cooked black cherry edge to it. And this earthy fresh finish. It reminds me ever so slightly of Dolcetto, another northern Italian grape variety, but from a bit further west in Piemonte. Also maybe a little bit of in common with some Beaujolais. It's got this crunchy red black fruit freshness to it. Really tasty wine. And a pleasant change from for those looking for something a bit different from a diet of Cabernet Sauvignon and Merlot. Next one up, Chianti Classico. It's the Wine Society's exhibition label, Chianti Classico, from the Poggio Piano. Wonderful name, isn't it? Poggio Piano. The Poggio Piano winery in Chianti Classico. Let's give this a whirl. Not sure of the blend here, but typically for Chianti Classico, it will be 90 to 100% Sangiovese plus something else in there to make up the balance. Tends to be the traditional ones. They have grapes like Colorino, which is there for its colour, and a few others. But now a lot of people are putting things like Merlot and Cabernet in to give it a bit more. So sometimes they can end up being a bit too modern, a bit un-Chianti-like. There's a feel here of it. It does smell quite modern and fresh rather than the old-fashioned Chianti style. But Chianti itself has actually changed out of all recognition in the last probably 20 years. And the wines that you get now are not what people 20, 30 years ago would have associated with the rather pale, delicate wine of Chianti. They're fuller-bodied, but they're also really fragrant. They're almost yeah, there's a bit of that Burgundian or maybe Piemonte sense of aroma and place that's going on in them. And certainly it's a very aromatic wine. Again, black cherries here. Yeah, there's a smooth warmness to it, like cherry kernels. If you've ever bitten into the cherry stone and just got a little bit of that flavour that you get in those. Some black currants as well, but it's that seductive black cherry, hint of vanilla maybe. No, I like that a lot. When I say smooth, what I mean is that the flavour is really seductive and it fills your mouth. But then when you've swallowed it or spat it out, you're left with this refreshing, green in the best sense of the word, a slightly, oh, how would I put it? Maybe herby. There's some tannin there, and it's not tannin that's been polished so much that you feel like you can't touch it. You know you're drinking something here. Smooth fruit flavours, seductive perfume, and this nicely chewy finish. Don't think I'll spit that bit out. Okay, moving across the border into France. We are on Chateau Fabre-Gasparet, Corbières, and not just any Corbières, not Marks and Spencer's Corbières. No, this is Corbières Boutenac. Boutenac is like a favoured bit of the appellation of Corbières, so now it has its own appellation. It says Corbières Boutenac on the label. You'll have seen the label at the start of this. 2005 vintage, and it'll be a typical southern France blend. I think there's quite a lot of Carignan in there, and then the other, I think there's Grenache, Mourvèdre and Syrah in there too. Well, the first thing I smell is a bit of that Carignan peppery freshness, but then there's also a slightly warmer, fuller bodied, like strawberry edge, maybe from the Grenache, maybe a bit of herb and spice from the Syrah. Let's have a taste. A really nice wine there. What's happening is the Carignan's almost providing like a structure on which the other three grape varieties can construct their stuff. So you're getting an edge of that meaty Mourvèdre character, you're getting some of the Syrah perfume and plummy fruit, and you're getting this fleshy Grenache, and then holding it all together is this slightly violet and pepper edge, and yeah, more of that blackcurrant, blackberry fruit from the Carignan. Tasty wine, and it's funny, it's one of those that's in a heavy bottle. I was expecting it to be fuller and almost like too in your face, but it's not. It's about 13% alcohol, and it's really, really nicely balanced. Last wine, way over to the other side of the world, to Australia, to Western Australia. Fern Grove Shiraz 2007 from Franklin River. Now Shiraz from this part of the world is quite different from South Australian Shiraz. It tends to have like a bit more fragrance to it. Not necessarily less powerful. I mean, some of the wines get up to, well, let's have a look at the alcohol here, 14.5%. So yeah, certainly not a light wine. But there seems to be a bit more freshness to the fruit flavours, less jamminess. Let's see if this is as predicted. There's a slightly what I call pippy berry edge to it, like cold black currants and blackberries. Bit of raspberry in there too. It doesn't. It smells very fresh. It smells almost crunchy, like you're going to bite into it, and it's going to give, rather than just, I don't know, just completely collapse under your teeth. It's going to offer a bit of resistance. Yeah, you get that fresh fruit flavour coming through. Vanilla, it's probably been in oak for a bit. That's the vanilla's coming from there. But it's this freshness of fruit that's the real main event. There's a little bit of licorice coming through, which for me is almost a sign of that 14.5% alcohol. If anything, I'd have liked to see it a bit lower in alcohol and preserve that freshness, but it's looking really good now. Yeah, it's a very different style from stereotypical Australian Shiraz, or that warm, jammy, chocolatey edge maybe that you get in places like McLaren Vale and Barossa. But it's still very, very tasty. Some people say the wines from here are Rhone-like. They're not Rhone-like at all. This is it's Franklin River. It shouldn't taste like the Rhone. I think what people mean there, it's not as warm and jammy as some Australian wines can be. But it's a very nice style of wine. Actually, I've really enjoyed these four. It's one of those that you never quite know what to expect, but these have exceeded expectations. Hope they've exceeded yours too. See you soon.